Welcome to the Munro Review, where it's all about connecting, sharing, and valuing the arts in the central San Joaquin Valley. I'm Donald Munro. Today is March 8th. A year after the pandemic changed our lives, I am still not in the CMAC studio, but I am practicing social distancing here in my home office. I also have a confession to share. I've only managed to get my hair cut once since the pandemic began, which is why I'm wearing this cap that I have more than once joked makes me look like an understudy for Newsies. But the arts go on. We have a great story to tell today about the Breakbox Thought Collective. This dynamic, multi-talented group is known for its spoken word performances and other artistic endeavors. It won the Best in Show award last fall at the juried Pandemical Virtual Exhibition, sponsored by Fresno State's Center for Creativity and the Arts. I got to sit down for a talk with the group. First, however, let me remind you of some of the stories I've been covering on MunroReview.com. The Tower Theater has been sold to a church, and many people in Fresno are very concerned. I weigh in with a commentary that I headlined, "With the neighborhood so opposed, why would Adventure Church want to buy the Tower Theater?" In this in-depth essay, I dig into the motivations of the parties involved. This piece has reached thousands of readers and created a torrent of praise and criticism. One very fun thing I've done is a series I call Quarantine Discoveries. I asked more than 30 prominent Fresno area folks what they've been reading, watching, and listening to during the pandemic. In the final installment, I strung all the responses together for a comprehensive list. And what was at the top of that list? Schitt's Creek and Bridgerton were among the favorites. But you'll also get lots of great tips on obscure movies, fascinating books, and interesting music. For Fresno Philharmonic fans, one of my favorite recent stories is a piece on the orchestra's principal trombonist, Bruce Crisp, and his wife, Gabrielle Wunsch, a violinist. Both musicians got bad cases of COVID, but that didn't stop them from accomplishing a lot in a fascinating pandemic year. A couple of other highlight stories and reviews to mention. Fresno State Theater director Brad Myers put together an ambitious production titled "To Thy Own Self Be True," a collection of Shakespearean scenes and sonnets from an LGBTQ non-binary perspective. In a video interview I did with Bruce Kiesling of Visalia Sequoia Symphony, I learned what the orchestra is up to during the pandemic and the short concerts the musicians have been playing. And in a great experience of reliving Fresno history, I write about Judy Lund Bell, who became the first female American private pilot to land a plane in the People's Republic of China. She and her husband, Jim, flew in the historic 1987 Paris to Beijing air race, and they took off with a lot of sponsorship support from Fresno. They even brought along the Valley Children's Hospital mascot, La Giraffe, for the ride. Now, let's get to our main story. I got to Zoom with a remarkable group of people, the Breakbox Thought Collective. Here's my interview. So we're here today to interview a very special group in Fresno. It is called the Breakbox Thought Collective, and we have several of its members here to talk about a bunch of stuff. So first I'd like to introduce Jamila Finley, who is, what is your title, Jamila? I don't think I actually asked you.
I'm the founder of Breakbox Thought Collective and executive director, and then I'm co-founder of Fresno Black Girl Magic and Ashe Magazine.
Okay. And one of the things we were talking about before the interview is that there's so many different facets of what you do and what's going on in society today that we wanted to talk about. So Jamila, could you just give us kind of an overview of what Breakbox is and how it kind of divides into these different programs you have?
All right, so Breakbox Thought Collective is a grassroots organization, and we create spaces for creative expression, resilience, and economic opportunity through cross-sector collaboration.
So you do lots of different kinds of things. What are some of the other things Breakbox does?
So yeah, we have the Fresno Black Girl Magic Project, which is an initiative around rites of passage for Black girls and non-binary youth. And we are trying to work on representation, media representation by narratives. We're doing that through a magazine called Ashe Magazine. And then we also are creating films, creating documentaries, we're creating a music video. So all the ways that we get impacted or how we might be left out or how we might be invisible in media, we're trying to create and assert narrative.
Well, let's go ahead and meet the members of Breakbox that we have here with us today. So Jamie, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Jamie Harris. I'm 18 years old. I attend Fresno State, and I am part of Indigo Sessions, where I do poetry, writing, and I do music with them. And I'm also part of Jamila's other program, which is the Fresno Black Girl Magic Project, where I'm assistant for her.
And how big is the Fresno Black Girl Magic Project?
The Fresno Black Girl Magic Project, I want to say it's probably about 20 of us or so. Which is the adults and also the youth that are part of our program.
Well, that sounds great. AJ, can you introduce yourself?
My name is AJ. I am 21. I am also a part of Indigo Sessions, and I'm also a part of a group called 1 Hour. We do background vocals and also play the instruments and help out Leela with the music for Indigo Sessions.
So there's lots of collaboration here, lots of crossover. And then let's go to Zion.
Hi, my name is Zion Christian. I'm 20 years old. I'm also a part of Indigo Session. I'm also a part of 1 Hour. I also helped out with Soul of the Nation.
So like you're very involved. How did 1 Hour get its name?
It's a funny story, kind of. So pretty much we were at CMAC and we were making music and we made like a handful of songs in under an hour. So we were like one hour.
Sometimes that's the best way that names for something come, or like a title, right? It just like comes to you, but I like it. It's really catchy. And then let's go to our square of three, and we'll start with Evan.
Hi, I'm 22 years old. I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I play guitar, piano, bass, drums sometimes. Yeah, I'm a part of Indigo Sessions and the collective, and I'm also part of 1 Hour or 1 Hour to Zoo.
Okay. And then Earl.
My name is Earl Oliver. Not only am I husband to Jamila, but I'm also within the group. I'm a bassist and percussionist. I do tend to try and lead background vocals. And I am also a photographer for Ashe Magazine.
So Jamila, you told me something earlier that I thought was really telling and really sweet, which is that if you ever are going to start a company or start like a big organization, you're going to use young people. And I thought that was really interesting. Can you elaborate on that a little?
Oh yeah, when I was teaching high school at Roosevelt, I'm recently retired after 20 years of service. But I used to run an academy called IRS Business Academy. And so we placed our actual teenagers from Roosevelt at the IRS, and the managers remarked that the kids worked better than the adults. And I noted that in my mind, like if I ever start a company or organization, I'm going to start it with young people.
So when you heard about this pandemical art exhibition, what made you decide to enter?
We saw that they had a spoken word offering, and we just thought like we would just kind of put ourselves out there as a test because we had just finished recording. We went to San Jose as a group, and it was really cool. We got to spend the weekend together. And then in the process, we created 10 songs. And so we were like, let's try it out. And we did not expect to win. We just were doing it as for the experience, you know. And when they said our names, we were like,
yeah, I was there at the awards, and I could tell you were pretty surprised.
Yeah, we were surprised.
So Evan, you're involved a lot in the music part of this. Can you tell us a little how one of these songs or spoken word offerings come together? Does the music come first and then the words, or is it vice versa?
I think it's just kind of like it's all about feel. So it can be any one of those things. You know, go from either I'll be on piano, or Zeke will be on the drums, or the bass, or the sax, or we'll just vibe, or Lilo or my mom will come up with some lyrics and be like, yo, I got this, or Damien will be like, yo, I got this, and you will just kind of vibe, take it from there.
So it kind of comes together. It's like
it comes together.
Organic process. And I should also note that Jamila, you also go by Lila on social media, right?
Yes, that's my stage name and my pen name, Lila Afia Kiamcha.
Okay. So Jamie, you have been involved in this process in terms of some of these lyrics. Is that the case?
Yes, I am.
And is it like sitting down and writing a poem, or do you listen to the music while you're writing to be inspired?
I feel like we usually start off with a motive. Like if we have a particular idea that we want to start with a song, we'll go off of that, but then also it'll change if we find something more catchy, or if we feel like Evan was mentioning earlier, we vibe. So when we're vibing to music, we're just coming up with stuff naturally.
In terms of recording it, then you mentioned like went to San Jose.
Yes, we went to San Jose. It was an amazing experience. I feel like we were able to spend time with each other and actually record and be in an area together to just vibe more and experience what it is to record and be out of town and relax and just go through the entire process.
So you really kind of came together as a group.
Yes.
I want to actually just play a selection or a sample of one of the songs in the Pandemical show. It's called I'm So Black, I'm Blue.
Basically, I'm So Black, I'm Blue is a play a little bit on the blues. Historically, we've used the blues music to kind of lament the things that we're experiencing as Black people. And it's featuring Hope Garcia, and all of us are on background vocals. And it's about feeling like in this country, it's difficult to the point of depression to be Black at times.
Let's go ahead and just listen to a sample of that.
I am so black, I'm blue. I am so black, I'm blue. I am so black, I'm blue. So black, I'm blue.
So was this written, do you consider this song to be like a product of a very particular time? I mean, when was it written, and were you reacting to events from, I guess it would be the summer of 2020?
Yeah, it was. It was the summer of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd. And it just kept happening one after another. And we had been on a trip, and my husband gets very nervous, sometimes, and he'll be like, okay, if we get stopped by the police, my wallet is here, like it's very methodical, the amount of work that we have to go through, even when we've done nothing wrong. So that we were lamenting that and kind of grieving the loss of these people and the continued grief and trauma of racism in America. And so it came in the lyrics at that time, and on a personal level, having 3 sons who are Black, and then my husband is Black, so it's just it all of it kind of like culminated in that piece, and many others, but in that piece specifically.
So Earl, I'm curious, how do you experience these lyrics for the first time? Does Jamila kind of share kind of a rough draft with you, or does she like wait till it's all over and kind of present it? And what is your reaction to her feelings and her emotions?
She has a unique writing process. Once she's completed the process, I am typically one of the first to hear it, and she kind of bounces ideas off of what I would think is relevant, how it pertains to today, and how it affects not only Black men, but us as a race of people.
And how does the song itself then unfold?
In a rehearsal, and she'd be like, "Hey guys," or like I'll play some chords. She'd be like, "Hold on, stop playing that. I think I have something." Start from the beginning, and you know, it'll turn into a song from there.
And so, like AJ, what is that like for you the first time you hear these lyrics?
I feed off of them, the energy, because when we sit down and just vibe and make a song, and it ends up being a song like "I'm So Black, I'm Blue," it's just all of that, all of those negative energies pouring out of us into a song, and people can connect to it spiritually on a different plane that they feel. And it's just music is an outlet to like bad energies without having to act on them.
Very well put. I think these lyrics, I mean, of course, they make anybody think and feel, and that's what music and words can do. But I'm sure that it's a pretty intense process. Another entry to the show, and it's called The Miscarriage of Justice. And I thought that was interesting because it's actually autobiographical, and it's about something specific. It's about a specific issue that Blacks in America face in terms of just, what would you call it, the medical industry, Jamila?
Medical disparity, yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us just a little bit, like, why don't you introduce this number and then we'll play a snippet of that as well.
So originally we had there is a piece on the album called The People Cried for Justice, where justice is personified as a woman, but you don't know, she's an ambiguous woman. You don't know like who she is. It's not specified that she's Black. So when I started conceptualizing a follow-up to The People Cried for Justice in response to what had happened to me, I thought if justice was a woman, she'd be a Black woman. So I just made it more specific. And then I basically took the experience that I had, and then I tried to juxtapose it with the experience of racism and justice, and how we kept thinking every time that somebody, law enforcement, they weren't getting the convictions that we thought they should be getting, and how that's a miscarriage of justice. And so I used the miscarriage as kind of like this extended metaphor of the piece to talk about how not only the miscarriage of justice, but in general, the implicit bias, how it ekes into every part of society, education, medicine, law enforcement, so that's kind of encapsulates the sentiment that I was trying to express.
Well, let's go ahead and listen to just a clip from that.
If justice was a woman, she'd be a Black woman, a pregnant, full-bodied Black woman, carrying low and heavy. She'd be sitting in the waiting room of the emergency. She'd be overlooked, explaining her plight to the officer through her pain. The people would cry for justice later that day, when her death was announced.
And so this actually happened in Fresno.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel what do you feel as an artist when at least you're able to kind of put your feelings out there about an incident like this? I mean, most people don't get that opportunity, right? It happens to them and you just kind of have to live with it inside you. As an artist, what is that like?
It's healing. That's the whole point of the Indigo sessions. And that's what I think that AJ was alluding to as well, and kind of Jamie touched on it too, it's so healing, the ability to take your thoughts and your emotions and put words to it. It kind of like crystallizes it forever. But then also the writing process is such that you're like trying to select just the right word, and it makes you so present with yourself. In the experience, you maybe didn't have control, but in the moment when you're creating, you have control because you're choosing the words. And so it kind of is that marriage between feeling like despair because you didn't have control, and then having control, and it empowers you because you're expressing something. And that's why creative expression and resilience is such an important part of what Breakbox does, because we believe that through that's a vehicle that's going to be the vessel for the healing that our community needs.
Zion, what is one of the songs that you feel a personal connection to? It's okay if you don't.
Cuckoo Juju.
Yes.
Cook again?
Reminds me a lot of my mom. It's a song called Cuckoo Juju, and it's just about how Black women are magical.
Yeah.
What will happen to these songs? Or tell me about these songs. I mean, you did use them for Pandemical, but this is actually, you're going to put them into an album. Is that correct?
So there's 10 songs, and Soul of a Nation, that's our album, which will be releasing soon. These songs were all created by us. Each song had a purpose. Each song connected to the next song. You have to hear the whole album to be able to feel the full experience. The whole entire album is powerful. I feel like each word which was written on the album meant something. I feel like anyone can be able to like get a glimpse of how we feel as African Americans writing music and the experiences that we endure.
And there's been a great deal of awareness of these inequities, but these inequities have been around for like 400 years, right? And they're what all of you have confronted your entire lifetimes. What is it like to suddenly have everybody wants to, it seems like, talk about it and feel it and empathize? What is it like?
I feel like it needs to be talked about more often. Even though it came very popular to everyone to be a topic of hashtag Black Lives Matter and things like that, I feel like it started something which was a movement. And the movement became very strong, which needed to happen, which needed to occur. I feel like conversations needed to happen and needed to be broken down to other races, other people, and even to ourselves. Too many lives are being taken, and it was a sad time as well, but it was a very enduring and powerful time because a lot of African Americans and people in general who supported the Black Lives Matter movement together, which stood for unity. Even if we fall, we get back up 10 times stronger, which is more impactful than it was at the beginning.
What I feel it did also is it started a conversation. You know, with the introduction of modern technology, cell phones, you can no longer hide it. People were seeing it real time. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles in the 80s, and this isn't new. The police has always been adversary, not someone you go to in the event that you need help. You saw George Floyd being murdered real time. You have audio of Breonna Taylor and the police breaking into their home and murdering her. So again, what it did is it created a conversation, and I think that conversation should, with hope, bring about some healing.
Besides entering your songs to the exhibition and then it's available on the website, how can people hear it before the album comes out, or do we have to kind of wait?
So it is on the Pandemical website, and we're going to put some snippets together and put it on our website as well, like teaser. And you can also follow us on Instagram or all socials, really, Twitter, Facebook, at Collective Music.
Okay. And I do want to mention a couple of the other things that you are part of. I can't imagine how, like, when you even sleep. You were telling me that you have a really great sounding feature that's coming up. You've been looking for 100 people. What will be the finished product there?
So we're doing a 100 Black Voices campaign on social media. People are nominating until Friday, and they're just going to say whose stories, faces, voices do they want to see in the next issue. At the end of the month, we're having a youth summit of the nominated people, and just anybody who fits the age bracket can show up in virtual time and really talk about these issues. We'll do polls. We're going to do breakout rooms, have DJ. It's going to be a celebration of Black lives, which we've been saying Black Lives History. And then it's also going to be a time of action. So we're going to also come together and plan, and hold each other accountable to create, because what we hear from the people is what we want to do with programming to create more spaces and for us to be informed. For Ashe Magazine, what do people want to know? What do they want to hear? And then that's going to inform future issues.
Sounds like a lot of work too. That's a lot of organization.
Well, that's the point of the collaboration and the collective.
So AJ, you mentioned that you were like one of Jamila's sons. If I asked you, describe her in 3 words, what 3 words would you pick?
I gotta choose wisely so I don't get in trouble. Intelligent, Spiritual, inspirational. Bonus word is goofy.
Okay.
Yes.
And for people who don't know her in Fresno, what do you think she's done for Fresno?
She basically took me under her wing, and then I seen the way she just brings everybody together, makes you feel and know that you're not alone with what you're going through, that you always have somebody to come to and talk to.
I think that's very, very well said. All right, so we're going to try something here. We actually haven't done this yet, so this is a big experiment, but it seems kind of fitting that Breakbox is going to do it, right? Because you're always trying new things.
Try new things.
But you are going to do an a cappella version of a song that you've recorded, and this song is called "Pass the Torch."
So Pass the Torch is really about the history. Jamie spoke on it a little bit earlier, but the history of the civil rights struggle and how we embody it as culture, but the society, it's really American history, like it's everyone's history. And so it's talking about the responsibility that we feel as people to continue the work in our lives. And so that's what Pass the Torch is about.
Like we used to do. Pass the torch like we used to do. Pass the torch like we used to do. Pass the torch like we used to do. Keep it moving. It's a movement. Keep it moving. It's a movement. Keep it moving. It's a movement. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving, it's a movement. Spoken word in motion, smooth as cocoa butter lotion. Mess with the rhythm, it's like an elixir or a potion. Let it sink in and bring you joy. Never destroy all of your soul. Felt this shit since I was a boy. Break the cycle as I spit my written, let my mind flow.
Yeah, I had a dream, and it shut up in my bones within me. I say yes, I had a dream, and it shut up in my bones, shut up in my soul, shut up in my heart. Oh Lord, for me.
Thank you so much. That was really inspiring. And we should also say that, well, actually, you were given like a day by the city, right?
Oh, right,
Last
right.
year. And what day is that? That's
February 13th is Breakbox Dot Collection.
So we were joking. It's like, well, does that last forever, or?
Well, we taking it. We're like, it's gonna be our thing. Yeah, it's gonna be our thing. Yeah.
It's gonna be your day. And as a program, you've also got support from the McClatchy Foundation, California Endowment, and the
And
Fresno
Arts Council.
Arts Council. I think
We're
that's
really grateful for the partnerships.
That's
We
really
love.
great
We
as
just
well.
want to collaborate with our community.
Well, fantastic. And it sounds like there's lots of connection points for people to connect with you. And that's important too. All right. Well, thank you again. Speaking of the arts going on during the pandemic, there is no stopping the Rogue Festival. It's all on Zoom this year, of course, but there's still a lot of creativity going on. The second weekend of the Rogue starts back up on Friday, March 12th. You can read my Rogue preview with all the logistical details at munroreview.com, and you can also read some reviews of second weekend shows. I have 3 picks for you for the final weekend. Text show on the internet, that's #TXT, show on the internet, is a trip. Brian Feldman, based in Washington, D.C., has done this show nearly 140 times. Essentially, you text him dialogue and he performs whatever you write. It'll be performed 6 p.m. Saturday. Rose Gold is a one-woman show about an alcoholic woman. It isn't your typical trauma narrative, however. Things get creepy. It'll be performed 6 p.m. Sunday. And Good Night, Never Goodbye is a pre-recorded show that was improvised by its 2 performers. It's about a wife who discovers her husband is having an affair, but again, it doesn't follow a typical storyline. It'll be performed 8 p.m. Saturday. Well, that wraps it up for this edition of the Munro Review on CMAC. Special thanks to the members of Breakbox Collective, to producer Kyle Lowe, and to editor Marciela Hernandez. Finally, for all of you, please keep exploring and supporting the local art scene. We'll see you next time.